The White House is not confirming anything, but the US says NATO and G7 allies are ready for a swift and severe response if Iran makes such a transfer of weapons to Russia. So what could that response from the West look like?
Essentially, it would be a stepping up of military support to Ukraine, in particular support for in the form of air defense capabilities to blunt any offensive capability provided to the Russians with these ballistic missiles. I can't imagine the NATO states intervening directly at this point, but it's not impossible. And so I think that you could certainly see a dramatic increase in the military assistance to Ukraine. And as I said, we are in a presidential election year in the US. And I think what the Biden administration is concerned about is that if Trump does return to power, then he could essentially take Putin's side and cut off the aid to Ukraine. And so, I think Biden's trying to effectively get as much assistance to Ukraine as possible whilst he's in power.
Just turning our attention to the Middle East now, there's reports Israel has agreed to resume Gaza ceasefire talks next week, but there's also reports Israel has stepped up attacks in Lebanon, killing a Hamas official. What do we know about a potential ceasefire and still the potential for a wider conflict in the Middle East?
Well, as strategic analysts, we're kind of focusing on two areas. We're focusing on Ukraine and we're focusing on the Middle East. In the Middle East, I think that what the key concern there is, will Iran strike at Israel in retaliation for the assassination of Haniyeh in Tehran a couple of weeks ago? We were all expecting that attack sometime this week. It hasn't happened. And I think that's because the Iranians are waiting to see what happens with these ceasefire talks on Monday. If those ceasefire talks go nowhere, then I think it's highly likely the Iranians and Hezbollah will attack Israel next week at some point. And then the question would be, how would Israel respond to that? But certainly in terms of the actual ceasefire negotiations, I think this is really the last chance saloon here. This is really, probably the only possibility where Israel could work out a deal with Hamas to de-escalate. Otherwise, we probably are in a new phase of the war where Iran attacks Israel, Hezbollah attacks Israel, and Israel retaliates massively, and we escalate from there.
It's concerning. Dr. Malcolm Davis, live from Canberra. Really appreciate that. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you.